Hello, Summer Whatnuts. It is Wednesday, July 17th in the United States and Canada, and this is What Chaos, presented by Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Sports, made easy. My name is DJ Bean. I sit here. Over there sits a boy named Sean DePaz, and over there sits a boy named Pete Blackburn. Pete, I see you donning that Ducks hat. That's an old one, brother. That's old. Is that vintage?
It is. It's somebody asked me recently, it was like, oh, is that the new Ducks logo? And I was like, nah, it's the old Ducks logo. New Ducks logo, kind of the same as the old Ducks logo. A little bit of a tweak, but man, I am so back in on the Ducks. Like my Ducks merchandise collection has picked up 400% since they've unveiled the new logo.
When we were in Vegas and doing stuff with Fanatics, they were showing us their like made in Canada department, which is like the high end. And they showed us some stuff, and there was you grabbed a Ducks one. Did that have the new logo?
Sure did. Yeah.
So that's
If
awesome.
it had the old logo, wasn't buying or wasn't requesting.
So that's
absolutely only new logo stuff.
Amazing. So I was like, I'm going to save it for the jersey. Love that you got Duck stuff. I use it as an opportunity to round up my Red Wings gear. Even though I have so much Red Wings stuff, I like wearing Red Wings things. I've wondered,
best logo in hockey.
What are people going to think and say? We famously picked up a bunch of Edmonton listeners during the Cup run because my allegiance is to the Edmonton Oilers. However, on this show, we're always putting up all sorts of jerseys and wearing all the things we get from the various teams. For example, right now I'm wearing a very cool Columbus Blue Jackets t-shirt. I would hope that nobody gets it twisted, takes umbrage with the fact that I, as an Oil man, will wear other stuff. We got a comment on a video that was like, why is DJ wearing a Marian Hossa hat? Like, I'm going to be wearing Marian Hossa shit. It doesn't mean that I don't fucking love Zach Hyman more than anybody in the world.
We're a hockey podcast. We're not a team specific podcast. We can spread our wings a little bit. I like that. But if we don't want that to ever change.
But if we really wanted, we could have just pivoted, like, I don't know, in fucking March. Sean, I feel like you're going to agree with this. We could have just been like, fuck it, full-time Oilers podcast, and we would have top of the charts.
I mean, some people at home right now are just speaking into their radio saying, you didn't?
Fair. No, I'll defend that. There were, like, in the finals, people were like, stop talking about the Oilers. It was like, if we were doing this and it were the fucking Panthers and the Avalanche, yeah, it'd be weird if we were talking about the Oilers a lot. This is when we're supposed to be talking about the Oilers.
Yeah.
The stop talking about the Oilers thing, you could have done that in November when we were obsessed with the will they, won't they of the Oilers. But I'll tell you, like, I defend as a co-showrunner here and as someone who puts together the rundowns with the group and everything. We did not overdo the Oilers. That sounds ridiculous. Like we overdid the Oilers by me going to Edmonton on my own dime. That's how we overdid the Oilers, but that was fucking worth it. That was great.
The only thing is, like, you played into your passion and how much you loved the Oilers, and so, like, the bias was obviously very clear. The love for the Oilers was not overdone, but like it was like very in your face, and I love that about it. I mean, I don't want you to have to suppress your emotions. We've talked about that a little bit. Yeah, I'm fine with the way that things went in terms of the Oilers' love, but now we're opening the door back up to the other 31 teams, and everybody has a chance to win our affections, even though the Oilers are definitely going to win our affections because they're interesting as shit. Not to jump into slate grade stuff, but while we're talking about the Red Wings, what we both have been doing this summer in the early days is the Red Wings have one of the best graphic designers in all of hockey, Michelle Sotheby, and her Instagram account is amazing because it not only posts her incredible work, which is so good for the Red Wings, but she also posts like the process of how she does that work, and it's fucking fascinating to watch. And I know, like, you were telling me the other day that you were watching some of those videos to learn Photoshop stuff, and you're actually like educating yourself in her process videos on Instagram.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm always fucking like, I would say that I am very good at Premiere, which is the video editing stuff. I'm very confident in my skills there. I think I can pretty much do most things on there. Photoshop, I've been using way longer, have spent way more time using, but the levels of being good at Photoshop are so insane that I'll never consider myself good at Photoshop. Like, I'm better than, I would say, the average person at Photoshop, but the people that are good and like really know what they're doing on that thing are crazy. Sean, did you get the picture that I sent you?
I will in a second.
Yeah. No problem. When I was sick, because we were talking about the Red Wings or whatever, and you were like, yeah, their social person or their graphic designer, whoever it is unbelievable. Do you follow them? I followed this person on Instagram, watched some of her videos, and just started applying some of the things that she was showing how to do. So I was like, just as a kind of test run, I'll make Jeff Skinner in an Oilers jersey and try to make it as convincing as possible. And there, the helmet, I fucking worked miracles on that thing. There was the visor was blacked out initially by other shit because there was like a big reflection on it, and she has fucking tutorials on how to make things that aren't see-through without them just like fucking going away. Like, how does that work? That visor had shit in it, and it no longer does, and it just looks like he's on the ice and lights are hitting him. That's fucking incredible.
You also threw the helmet advertisement on there. Nice touch. Like, the jersey has appropriate shadowing. It's a great job. A great bit of work there from you.
Dude,
tidy bit of work. Why did you throw the NHLPA logo on there, though?
That was going to be my question.
So I put that because something needed to be there, and it's a on Vampire Weekend's album "Father of the Bride." It's just a like picture of a globe, and then it just says Sony Music on it. I assume they just like wanted. What's that?
NHLPA is including that as so funny in a player graphic.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm just gonna kind of Vampire Weekend this and throw up something that makes it official, even if it's not. But shit, man, look at that. That's it. I've probably made things on Photoshop that people would say like look better than that, or to the naked eye are harder to do. That shit was fucking hard. It's hard to fucking make it look kind of convincing without just, because sometimes you'll just like swap out a player's body on another, or a player's head on another team, a player's body, and be like, hey, look, it's so-and-so in another jersey. But this person does it the fucking right way. Incredible.
I'll tell you what, like, I think the NHL and the NHL media is in a very, very cool spot right now with how many like really good creatives are getting to flex their work and showcase it. And maybe it's just like us getting a little bit deeper into that world, but like, I don't remember the NHL kind of world being as creative as it is right now, even from like the Dishon guys. And that like community is so fucking friendly. Even the podcast community, like everybody gets along. We talked about this a bunch at the Cup final and a little bit in Vegas for the draft. Everybody gets along so well. Like in a lot of areas where you could perceive competition and be a little bit defensive and be a little bit, have a bit of animosity. Like the Chicklets guys are so friendly. The Empty Netters guys are so friendly. Everybody in that space just wants to like be around each other and be friends and kind of like bond over hockey. And it's a really cool place to be right now, just with how welcoming it is and how creative and how talented how so many people are.
Yeah, I meant to shout out RA, by the way, last week. Lovely fucking guy. Maniac. We all know he's a fucking maniac, but just absolute heart of gold. He's a big Bruins fan. Online, he, I think, hated me when I was a beat writer or whatever. So I was like, what's this guy's problem? What a fucking prick he must be. Met him in person. 3 seconds into actually meeting him in person, I was like, I fucking love this person. And he was the same way. He's just an absolute heart of gold. I always fucking love when people fucking take time for themselves, work on themselves, say, hey, I need to do this, so I'm actually going to do it. It's very, very, very difficult to do. In his case, I dropped him a note and I was like, yo, I know this is a fucking weird space for to change things like consumption, but it can be done. You can fucking do it. Love that guy. If he ever fucking, he would give us the shirt off his back. So if he needs fucking anything from us, I hope he knows that he can fucking hit us up.
100%. And like, he is an absolute sweetheart. He's a maniac, like you said, but like absolute sweetheart, has always been kind and welcoming to me. And, it's not only difficult to do for yourself, it's also extremely difficult to do and announce to the world. And like I would imagine like the Barstool world in particular, like the Barstool people ride for Barstool people like crazy. They can also be really tough and really mean if they decide they don't like somebody. And so for RA to do it for himself, but to also kind of put himself out there and explain his situation and what he's trying to do for himself, like I think that takes a lot of balls as well. And I think that he was very, very forthcoming and very honest. And I give him all the credit in the world for that. So I wish nothing but the best for RA. And I think everybody's rooting for him. So shout out to RA. We love him.
Yeah, he said he threw that out there. I'm telling tales out of school here, but I think he'd be okay with this. He said that he put that all out there basically as a heads up to listeners and like an apology for like, hey, if I'm not here for a little bit, here's what's going on. And he said then he ended up getting like so many people reaching out to him who were like, hey, love you. Here's my experience. If you need anything, whatever. And he was like, that's not really why I was doing it. But it goes back to kind of a core principle of my recent adulthood, which is like, pay somebody the fucking compliment, give them the thought that you have about them, assuming it's not like, I'm not saying go up to everybody and be like, hey, I'm gonna be fucking real with you. Here's what you suck at or whatever. But like, if you have like an honest thought about somebody and it's a good thing, and if you think that somebody's like, when I was in Edmonton, a colleague of ours like paid me a really specific compliment, and it was like clearly something they'd thought about, and I was like, it just fucking made my fucking year. And I try to, in my old age, like if you have a nice thought about somebody, don't fucking keep it to yourself. Just throw it at them because maybe they need it, or also like maybe it just affirms a small thing that they're trying to do. Like I don't know if it's like the like, hey, have you been working out thing? If somebody's like lifting and you notice their muscles get bigger, it's probably nice to say to them like, hey, keep going, great job or whatever. Generally don't comment on people's body and weight, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, like when I was younger, I wouldn't do that as much because I felt weird about it. I felt like it would lead to like an uncomfortable interaction, or like they'd be uncomfortable for whatever reason, by like receiving a compliment. Maybe it's because like I'm not super comfortable at like receiving compliments, but I don't know, maybe I projected that. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of realized that like that stuff means a lot to people, even if they can't properly show it. Like when I receive a compliment, like it means a lot to me, even if I handle it a little like uncomfortably on the surface. Like I'll go somewhere else and be like, oh, like that's really nice. I'm glad that I found that out about, like, somebody thinks that about me or something. So like, yeah, I think it means a lot to the person receiving it, but also like you should want to be the person that reinforces positivity in other people too. Like I think that's a good thing to do for yourself.
Yeah, it sounds so stupid to be like, hey, fucking pay people compliments, but really, it's just so easy not to. And if you have a thought that somebody does something, like I'll do, if I'm listening to somebody's podcast or something, and I notice something that they do well or something like makes an impression on me, I'll fucking shoot them a text and I'll be like, you're so good at doing whatever. And if they want to respond, if they want to feel weird about it, whatever. But like, I'm fucking paying you that compliment. Nothing you can do about it.
Maybe it's because like we've been grinding a lot over the past year, but like over the past year, I think I've really increased my output of like just sending good like nice messages to people, being like, yo, you were doing fucking awesome work, and being like, hey, I love. And maybe it's just like I've my enjoyment of consuming good creative things has ramped up a little bit over the past year or so. But I really like just like sending out those, like, I mean, the Michelle Sotheby, like I've sent her like a few messages or commented on like her good work and been like, yo, this is fucking sick. Because like when somebody puts their work out there like that, it's like kind of a vulnerable thing to say, like, you know, I'm proud of this, or like this is the work that I'm doing. So if you see it and you like it, say that shit. It means it takes very little time out of your own pocket, but it's also like it means a lot and reinforces somebody putting themselves out there creatively.
Yeah, and also just take pride in your work, obviously, and fucking be proud of it. One of my favorite moments of this whole playoff run, I was out with Nick, 716 Nick from Dishin, who was like my guy in Edmonton. We were hanging out a bunch, and we were, I think, like going to the bar to get fake beers, and he was like, I can only stay for one. I got to do a bunch of shit in the morning. And I was like, yeah, I got to go back and finish editing this thing. And he was like, oh, you know how to edit stuff? And I was like, all three of us, man. I was like, we're like, Sean obviously is the fucking engine, but like we're a small operation. We all know how to do everything, and we fucking try our best at it. And like I could see his like respect for what Chaos going up, because he's such a fucking grinder. And I was like, yeah, you know what? It is kind of crazy that we're teaching ourselves how to do shit and trying to do it on the fly, but it also does fucking rock that we're a tiny operation and we are trying to do everything ourselves. So that's us paying ourselves a compliment. I'd like to pay the Nashville Predators a compliment, because they were the big winners of free agency, obviously signing Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault and Brady Shea. They add probably, we'll say, two of the three best wingers and a top four defenseman to a team that last season finished as the first wildcard team, a bit of a ways back in the Central, but famously finished 25-3 post not being allowed to go to see U2 at the Sphere, which was the best finish to the season. I don't know if you know this. After the Sphere debacle, the Predators had the best record in the NHL. So I ask you, how much better are the Predators realistically going to be?
I mean, that was the question that I was going to ask you. So we've arrived at the same place. I try not to get like overexcited about teams that win in free agency, especially when you win on the wing. And like I know Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault are really good players, and their top six is way more impressive now than it was. And overall, I do think the Predators are much better. I don't know. Like, I still don't think that they're like the class in the Central. I would still put Dallas and Colorado in front of them. I think that if anything, like the Preds have maybe surpassed the Winnipeg Jets as like that third team in the Central, but I definitely take them more seriously. Like they are positioned to make noise. They were ahead of their rebuild schedule, and I never really took them seriously last year. I thought that they were like a scrappy new kids on the block, like earned my respect in a lot of the ways that like the Vancouver Canucks did, where like I didn't really ever take the Vancouver Canucks super seriously because they were just kind of so new on the scene. Like they had a lot of really good players, a lot of the pieces in place, but I didn't think that they were ready to win when it mattered. I still don't know if I think the Predators are there, but I think they're certainly closer.
I think that if the Predators had this roster, they lost to the Canucks in 6 games in the first round, famously. If the Predators had this roster, they would have beaten the Canucks in the first round last year. I don't know if they're going to get the same matchup and everything's going to be the same. And obviously the Canucks are different, so it's not just about the Canucks. I think that I think they are appreciably better. However, Ryan O'Reilly, it turns 3,000. So he's a year older. And, you know, you say it, Stamkos is a year older, but I think that Stamkos is going to go so scorched earth this year. Like, I think that I smile when I think about Steven Stamkos this year because I think AOL Blast interviewing Santa Claus guy voice, this Steven Stamkos season is going to be fun. And I think this Predators season is going to be fun. Like, do we love the Brady Shea contract? Do we think that the money they threw out there was amazing? But that's what fucking winning the offseason is. I will say I do like the Stamkos contract. I think the Lightning will regret not giving it to him, but Predators appreciably better. I agree with you. The easy one is they probably pass the Jets in the Central, but I would not be surprised if there are points in the season. This sounds like an undersell, but like they will hang, I think, with the Avalanche. They also because they also re-upped Saros, and any sort of questions that he had about his future are gone. So maybe you get a better season out of him.
I also think that there's not really any understating the importance of having like winners and adults in that room. I think that Barry Trotz, his first move upon getting the job in Nashville was getting out what he considered the locker room cancers, the guys that didn't take the job seriously enough. I mean, he bought out Ryan Johansson, he bought out Matt Duchene. Like those were 2 staples of the Nashville Predators. He didn't like what he saw or didn't like what he heard from those guys entering into that organization. And then, you know, with that team transitioning, you could look at the Ryan O'Reilly signing early on and be like, where are they going here? Why are they signing this old dude? And it was because like he really, really placed importance on what Ryan O'Reilly could bring to that makeup into that room and on the ice. Like he's still a really good player on the ice, but like adding a Steven Stamkos, adding a Jonathan Marchessault, 2 guys who are integral leaders and very good players. Like they're on the older side, yeah, but the experience and the pedigree that they bring is going to be very important for that team.
Don't sleep on Marchessault, by the way, as far as the scorched earth thing goes either. This is a player who also feels he was abandoned a bit by his team, said that he didn't feel that they did enough to keep him. But you see the postseason performer he was in their cup run, and that guy with the chip on his shoulder, I like it for my guys.
So 2 things on Jonathan Marchessault. Number one was an incredibly important piece to the Vegas Golden Knights culture. Like he was a
original misfit,
really, really, really big part of that team. So I'm interested to see how much different they look without him, both on and off the ice. Like how fun that guy was, I think meant a lot to the Vegas Golden Knights and keeping some levity in, you know, a group that has a really tough coach. We know Bruce Cassidy and what he can do to that team. Having Jonathan Marchessault with that group and keeping things light was very important. Number 2, he is a very emotional guy and a very emotional player. And when he feels like he's been wronged, he is very loud about it and takes it extremely personally. So I think you're right. Like, if he feels like he's been done dirty by the Golden Knights, that could go a long way in him having an incredible fuck you season in Nashville this year.
Yeah, man. I mean, give me a second line or first line, whatever. I don't know where you want to put Forsberg, but like, give me Stamkos and Marchessault together. Stamkos left wing, put whoever you want in the middle. You want to put O'Reilly, you want to put Novik, you want to put one of those two players. And then you fucking Jonathan Marchessault on the right wing. Give me a scorched earth line. I almost wish now that they got PLD too.
No, they don't. I look at what they have down the middle, and Tommy Novak's a dog. I think that Tommy Novak is going to turn a lot of heads this year, with some really, really good line mates, no matter
Speaking
who they
of players
are.
who wear numbers in the 80s.
What's
He's an
Tommy
82.
Novak's number?
He's an 82.
82. That's an ugly ass number.
Love it for my guys.
Ugly ass number for a forward. But Tommy Novak, I think, is on the short list of, like, if you don't know, you're gonna know this upcoming season.
Well, if you don't know about good hiring practices, I should probably tell you about Indeed. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. So the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. It's self-learning. Think about it. It's so good. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Also, join the party with Lucy Nicotine. We love it. It's 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco-free. It comes in pouches, gum, and our favorite, the Breakers. The Breakers are those pouches with a little capsule of liquid flavor to soak that pouch, baby. The Breakers, they're available in 4 milligrams, 8 milligrams. They also come in unbelievable flavors. Mint, berry citrus, espresso. Let's get crazy. The pouches also go all the way up to 12 milligrams. If you're not a pouch guy or gal, get the gum. The gum comes in 2 milligrams, 4 milligrams, or 6 milligrams. Choose your level. Choose your level of difficulty. I'm not a high difficulty guy. I like to just feel like the light buzz, a little dormant buzz. I don't want to have my world spin and fall around me. Maybe you could call me the P word. I don't care. It's what I want. I get to customize my experience. You get to customize your experience with Lucy. Set up a subscription and you don't have to go to the gas station. They deliver Lucy straight to your door. It's incredible. What more could you want? Level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/whatchaos and use promo code whatchaos to get 20% off your first order. Lucy offers free shipping and has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. That's lucy.co. Code whatchaos to get 20% off and free shipping. And here it comes, the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Don't try to pull any fast ones. Warning, this product contains nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. Okay, go to lucy.co/whatchaos and use code whatchaos for 20% off your first order.
One of the best parts of last season was the fringe of the Eastern Conference trying to find 8 playoff teams. It was incredible. If you don't remember, the final spot in the Metro and the final spot in the wild card, so the third Metro and the second wild card, saw the Islanders, Flyers, Capitals, and Penguins tripping over themselves in such incredible fashion.
Don't forget the Red Wings.
Red Wings
The
as
Red
well.
Wings were in there too.
Yes, teams that we thought were dead coming
Penguins.
back to life.
Penguins.
I said
Like,
Penguins.
there's so many teams. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teams that we thought were dead.
So many teams.
Coming back to life, teams that we thought had sewn up playoff spots. Like the Flyers seemed pretty good in there for a second and then just totally fell out of it. In the end, let's see if I can remember this. The Islanders end up grabbing the third Metro spot and the Capitals end up grabbing the second wild card spot. The Capitals got extremely swept by the Rangers in the first round, and the Islanders lost in 5 games to the Hurricanes.
Correct.
Boy, oh boy, what a shit show that was. But with the offseason having occurred and teams doing things and some guys get older, younger, teams and rosters and coaches and everything change, let's revisit the fringe of the Eastern Conference for this season, because the most interesting thing about it, I feel, is that the Devils, we discussed last week, the Devils are a shoo-in to make the playoffs, obviously back. I think safe to say, definitely one of the top 3 teams in the Metro, can we say?
Mm-hmm. I put a future in for them to win the Metro this year.
I love it. I love it for my guys. So they'll be that Metro spot is taken. However, do you remember who the first wild card team was last year?
The Tampa Bay Lightning.
Tampa Bay Lightning. I would posit the Tampa Bay Lightning have gotten worse. So I would say that there are still 2 spots in the Eastern Conference that we could generally put up for grabs. Not a Metro one anymore, but first wild card, second wild card. And the list of teams that can contend for it, I think, has probably grown, because the Devils, again, like, they weren't even in the picture last year. They had such a mess of a season. But I think now for the wild card spots, you're talking about, like, has Carolina fallen to the point with all the guys they lost that they're a wild card team? Tampa, I think, is a fringe wild card team. Boston, depending on how they are in the regular season without 2 stud goaltenders, maybe they end up being a wild card team. Capitals did all this shit. Penguins lost Riley Smith. Like, we could go beat by beat, but we're going to be, maybe not in such dramatic fashion, but we're going to be in for, I think, another big mess of shit when it comes to the final teams in the Eastern Conference this year.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the Eastern Conference playoff picture, the only team, maybe 2 teams that I see as clear risers, and I think the Devils are an absolute clear riser. Maybe the Ottawa Senators. Like, the Ottawa Senators with Linus Ullmark, they had the worst goaltending in the entire league last year, and I know that was only one of their problems, but now with a stud goaltender, I think the Ottawa Senators are going to be in the mix, maybe in the hunt watch.
In the hunt, or
Like,
or on in the hunt watch? Are you?
They're on
straight...
in the hunt watch. They're
okay.
on in the hunt watch. Like, they have more problems than just goaltending, but if you have a good goaltender, it can mask some of your other problems. Like, the Washington Capitals essentially got into the playoffs last year because they had a hot goaltender in Charlie Lindgren, and they were good on special teams. That was the only 2 reasons why the Washington Capitals got into the playoffs. And do I expect it to be as up for grabs as it was last year? Probably not, because it can't be more up for grabs than it was last year. Literally all you had to do was, like, win a game and you're in the playoffs, and only one team decided they wanted to do that, and it was the Capitals. So I would say the Senators and Devils are obvious risers, and outside of that, I have no idea.
Yeah, do you see the Carolina Hurricanes as a faller / plummeter? I feel like a Rod team is never going to be bad.
They can fall. They're not going to plummet.
I don't know if they'll plummet, but I mean, check this out. They lose Brady Shea, Brett Pesce. That's 2 top 4 guys right there. Jake Gensel, Teuvo Teravainen. They lost real guys, like 20 to 30 goal scorers, and
lost Nason, they lost Martinook. Those are bottom six guys, but like those guys are important to that
Yes.
group as well.
Yeah. So this is a team, they're kind of, I don't know, would they be would you call them the Vegas of the East in that they just lost so many guys? This is a team that took hits and didn't really get anything back or make up. Like, would not surprise me at all. I don't know what my top 3 in the Metro is right now. I would still probably have the Hurricanes in there, but I think that the Hurricanes will absolutely be part of the wild card discussion, more in terms of like, will they fall to a wild card spot versus are they chasing a wild card spot? But the Hurricanes, they got a lot worse. I don't think, again, not to the point of missing the playoffs, but to the point where I think that they're wild card-ish.
Are they running back their goaltending situation too? Like, what's their goaltending situation heading into this year? Also, we haven't discussed Marty Necas and that situation not having been worked out yet. Like, everybody is expecting Marty Necas to be traded, but like, what does he get back? And what are the, like, there's been discussions about, does Mitch Marner end up in Carolina? Like, what does that potentially look like? So if the Carolina Hurricanes their roster's not finalized yet, but it looks like their goaltending situation is going to be Freddie Anderson and Pyotr Kochetkov, which I don't know about that. And they haven't really improved in net. So, man, that team is up in the air, I think.
Yeah, and they probably will still have a move or two up their sleeve, but they just lost so many guys. Meanwhile, Penguins lose Riley Smith, trade him to the Rangers, hashtag Johnny Lasnew. They have to be done. They have to be done. They have to be dead. They got to be kind of out of my face, respectfully.
You say Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got Kevin Hayes.
They got Kevin Hayes, which is I
Really
like that trade for them.
That much.
I like it for my guys.
I think the Penguins are moving backwards. It's no good there. It's gonna be a real sad scene. Although they did just jack a really important front office guy from Toronto who wanted to reunite with Kyle Dubas. So like they're jacking some front office guys to help rebuild for the future. It's gonna be really sad, I think, to watch Sidney Crosby drag out these final years of his career, watching the Penguins kind of come apart at the seams if they don't find a way to inject new life into that team. They're in a bad way, that's for sure.
My favorite of the fringe wildcard teams or the Eastern Conference fringe teams, whatever you want to call it, Washington Capitals, just bananas offseason. Pierre-Luc Dubois, Jacob Chikrin, Andrew Mangiapane, just taking on Logan Thompson, just taking on all those outcasts and doing some crazy shit. I haven't really sourced this. Does anybody else think the Capitals are rad, or is it just me being a kind of a Johnny the Joke Man? Like, do you think that they're cool for this?
I saw like post free agency that I was like reading some winners and losers stuff, and I think whoever wrote the Sportsnet one was big on what the Caps did. And like I don't dislike it, and I don't know if it's good or bad, but I know that they're trying some weird shit. And from an interest standpoint, you better believe I'm going to be watching some Capitals games this year. So like at the very least, they've moved the needle. And sometimes like that's all you need to do. Like, I wish that the Pittsburgh Penguins did some weird shit that would move the needle, because what else are you going to do? You're going to sit idly by and burn like the final years of Alex Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby's career? I would much rather have what the Caps are doing, which is at least trying something and at least like collecting some scraps rather than going quietly into the night with some old dudes. Like, I have no idea if the Washington Capitals are going to be good. I don't think anybody has any fucking clue whether the Washington Capitals are going to be good this season. But they have a lot of intriguing players. They have an intriguing mix of just everyone's junk from across the league. And they have a few good young players that are going to be joining the mix too. Like Hendrix LaPierre's been there, Connor McMichael's been there, but then you're going to have Ryan Leonard. Like
Yes.
Ryan Leonard's a fucking dog.
Stud.
I love that guy. He is as NHL ready, I think, as any of those
NCAA
BC
guys.
kids.
Yeah.
NCAA guys, college hockey guys in general. Like Ryan Leonard is NHL ready for sure.
I just say, man, do not let Pierre-Luc Dubois score on opening night, because you think I talk about the fucking Oilers? You will not. Nobody will hear the end. This will become such a fucking PLD show if Pierre-Luc Dubois gets off to a good start in Washington. We'll be talking about best contract in the NHL. The Capitals stole him. Oh, Darcy Kemper. I'm going to call Ryan Lambert right now because I want to get his thoughts on the Washington Capitals. I don't know if he has strong thoughts on them at all, but I just need to know, like, in his mind, are they cool? So I'm calling him right now, and I'll just speaker it.
Lambert is kind of a tastemaker.
Yeah, he is.
Hello.
Hi, buddy. It's Dave. How are you? I have a question about the Washington Capitals. Are they cool?
No, I don't think so.
Fuck. All right, I'll talk to you later. All right, love you. Damn it. Wonder why he thinks they're not. We'll never know.
I think that, like, nobody knows if they're cool. I think they're doing some cool shit, but like doing some cool shit is a risk. If you do some cool shit and the execution doesn't work out, you end up looking like a fool. But if you do some cool shit and it looks cool as shit, you're the coolest person on the fucking planet. And if PLD has a good season, the Caps are going to get so much credit for being like, they took a chance on this guy. They took somebody else's garbage and they were willing to make that gamble, and look how well it's paid out for them. Do I have any faith that is going to work out for them? Not really, but let's find out.
I could see the stories written by, I know which specific insiders would write it. Like this is why you can never place too much value on a center. When you go out and get center, like, this is how you build your team. This is a guy who was available because there were questions about his contract, but they got him, and now they got theirs. People said it about when the Blues traded a bunch for Ryan O'Reilly. They were like, did they really trade a bunch for him? They got a center. They just needed one more center, and now here, get ready to speak centerese if Pierre-Luc Dubois ends up being anything. I'll tell you what, I'm a little rattled by RL thinking the Capitals aren't cool, though. I kind of do. I do trust him very much.
I mean, trading for PLD is like being the drunk guy on top of the house at a house party, jumping into the pool. Like, if you jump off the roof into the pool and you cannonball and make a big splash, you are cool as shit. People are going to be like, what a rock star that team was for going out and making that trade. But if you're too drunk and you misfire jumping off the roof, you're fucking dead, and you ruin the party, and you have like ruined years of like a poor family's life, and you're going to cause years of therapy to endless amounts of people. And that is a chance that the Washington Capitals are taking by trading for PLD. And I had this like thought this morning, which was like, does he have the most depressing aura around him for an NHL player in the league? I think the answer is no. And I know the answer is no, but he might be number 2.
Who do you think has the most depressing aura?
I'm going to say this name and you're going to say, oh yeah, 100%. Jonathan Huberdeau.
Oh, yes, definitely. That's the most depressing aura in the NHL. This offseason even gave the quote of like, I was able to catch some of the playoffs. That
I heard what happened.
Wasn't I did see
back.
Wasn't my favorite watch. more of the Bear season 3 kind of guy, but didn't love that watch. Yeah, PLD is up there, but here's the PLD, man. It's the stock that you see the price is so low and you're like, why is Apple stock $3? No matter what, I should just buy some of this, right? Figure it out later. That's how I feel about PLD stock. So just watch out. All I'm saying, like, don't let them get hot.
The thing with Apple stock is you can dump it. You are locking yourself in to PLD for the.
Tell that to the LA Kings. Easy peasy.
Well, he didn't have a no move clause because they got out from him before that kicked in. He now has that for the Washington
Everybody
Capitals.
thought that was an untradeable contract. Like everybody. And they still found a way to move it. And PLD famously is generally not happy where he is. So you think that guy's going to be like holding up things with his no trade clause? No, I don't want to be traded for the 5 millionth time in my career. I'm 12 years old.
That's a good point.
I love him.
If there's anything I know about PLD, he probably wants to be traded.
Yes, exactly right.
He hasn't even played a game for the Capitals, and I bet he wants to be traded.
Oh no, I think he wants to stay with the Capitals right now. I think he thinks that they're fucking cool as hell. Flyers signed Matvei Michkov, the 2023 7th overall pick. Bit of a mysterious one. Like, he's in Russia? When's he coming over? They get this stud winger. Jamie Drysdale also, I'll say, is a year older. They experienced what they experienced last year with their mess of shit. I don't know if they're going to have the start they had last season, but I would guess that they wouldn't fuck up the bag. They wouldn't fumble the bag the way that they did last year, but I don't know if they're necessarily going to have the bag the way that they did, if you catch my drift. Like, will they get to the point where
that's kind of where I'm at, is that like they caught both ends of the extreme spectrum, where they had a really, really hot start and then they had a really, really cold finish. And if they fall somewhere in the middle, I think they're going to achieve the same result, which is just missing the playoffs. Like, they're going to be on the bubble, in the hunt, but I don't know if they're good enough, especially without a real solid answer in net. Like, who's their goaltender? Is their goaltending going to be good enough? It's, I think there are a lot of questions. John Tortorella is very good
it's the
at
tall
getting
guy. Fedotov?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot that they had signed him at the end of the season.
Yeah, brother.
Samuel Urson and what's his name? Ivan Fedotov?
Fedotov, whatever. Yeah.
I think it's Fedotov, but is he the answer? Do we know? Do we have confidence in that?
Yeah, we do. We know.
I don't know. I think they're gonna be better. They're gonna have more high offensive upside with Michkov, assuming that he is the player that we expect him to be. But I don't know if they're good enough.
Red Wings, I thought, had such a blech offseason. They bring Kane back. They trade Jake Wallman, which I was like, Jake Wallman was money that needed to be shed. That remains confusing to me. And they signed Vladimir Tarasenko, which, like, of the Panthers that were signed by teams to head-scratching contracts, he's right there with OEL, where I was like, is the original 6 team that did this aware where the player is in their career? Like, the Leafs signed OEL coming off like a bit of a renaissance. Vladimir Tarasenko, what are you expecting at this point?
Yeah, I don't like Tarasenko, and I think their biggest problems lie in how weak they are down the middle. Like, Dylan Larkin is their number 1 center, which is fine, but who do you have behind him? You got JT Compher, and then you got Andrew Kopp.
Yeah,
Joe
I was going to say they still have Andrew Kopp.
Depth chart right now, but like, they are not strong enough down the middle. And we saw last year, if something happens to Dylan Larkin, that team's production offensively turns into absolute dog shit because they have nothing down the middle. So that worries me. I don't think their defensive group is very good. They haven't really improved there. And I think that they have too many weaknesses. Like, they might be better on the wing with like Patrick Kane settling in. Like Patrick Kane's still a very good player. I'm glad they brought him back. Tarasenko, maybe an upgrade. I don't love him. He goes quiet too much for me at this point in his career. He's not the premier goal scorer that he once was. And I just think that they're too weak down the middle and they haven't addressed that. And that's a problem for me.
I'll tell you what's strong is Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It's the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100x your cash. Sean, haven't heard from you much today. I know that you've been going to a lot of baseball games recently.
Can confirm.
You're just hammering baseball games. I might Bartman a baseball game with Prize Picks. Famously, Steve
Listen on the
Bartman.
radio?
What's that?
Listen on the radio or fuck up a team's future for a while?
You don't think he did that, do you?
No, not actually.
Okay, that'd be funny. if you were like a Bartman guy,
No,
that would be a shocking. Although I could see you being like, don't fucking reach out. Don't try to catch the ball.
You got to know what you're doing, I guess. But also, cut the guy a break.
So he does. Bartman did the radio while.
I famously do that.
Oh, that's right. So I think that's pretty cool. But I could Prize Picks during the game. I just sit there with my app.
Poor Kanolos, I guess, Trace in this situation.
Do all 3?
Watch the game, Prize Picks, and listen on the radio.
Did we talk about this? Was a while ago. I don't know if we did. I went to a baseball game. I don't know if I went to a Red Sox game not knowing it was Pride Night. And holy smokes. I was a little late to the game. They gave like everybody but me and my friend the sickest Pride jerseys I've ever seen in my life. And it was just like a bunch of like old gay people, young gay people, just like everybody. And all people, different walks of life, all wearing these sick ass Pride jerseys that I didn't get. And I was the fucking, I felt both not cool and I felt like a fucking bigot because I wasn't wearing this jersey. Shout out the Red Sox Pride Night, though. Next time I go, I'm going to try to do the radio and the Prize Picks because, as we've discussed, Prize Picks is the glass of wine with the meal that is a sporting event. It's the thing that you have to accompany it, make it taste that much better. You pick more or less in certain player categories, more than 1 hit, more than 1.5 hits, more than 30 strikeouts, things like that. I would go less in that case, but to each their own. Maybe a goblin. It would be a goblin if it was more than 30 strikeouts, I believe.
Be a demon. Be a demon.
No, goblin is the tough one, right?
No, I think
Always
demon's
fun.
the tough one. I think
Let's
demon's
see.
the harder one.
Demon's it's whichever the Matt Demon over here. It's whichever the harder one is. Over 30 strikeouts would be that. But it's what I do on Prize Picks. I'm going to start bringing it to games. Also, Sean, there's a WNBA. There's a Connecticut Sun game coming up at TD Garden.
Ooh.
I meant to invite you to go to it.
I would be interested.
Wouldn't that rock?
Yeah.
Maybe I try to. Yeah, maybe I
That'll
talk.
be fun.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Maybe I try to get some like Sweet Life for some WNBA action.
Wouldn't hate it.
I don't know who they're playing, but the Sun rock.
Yeah.
And we can Prize Picks the whole time. It's what we're always doing when we're watching games. Download the app today and use code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Well, you're talking about seeing the sun, and if you're trying to see the sun, you're probably going to want to bring some sunglasses because you got to protect those eyes. So Shady Rays is the sunglasses company that's rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. It's an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product. They have quality shades that are built to last, and they've got you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Hundreds of options. You've got plenty of styles, plenty of color combinations. You want to match them to your outfits? They got you covered. Also, they've got you covered with one of the best product replacement policies in the game. Like
Unreal.
in the game, period. Not in the sunglass game. In the product game. If you lose your sunglasses or if they get broken, they'll just replace them for you. I don't fully understand how that works or how it keeps them in the green, but they're doing it. They're just giving you sunglasses if you lose or break them. And if you don't love them, like if you just don't like the style when you receive them, you can exchange them for a new pair, return, and worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team has your back with personal and fast customer support, no matter your issues. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of this season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code AC35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. That's shadyrays.com using code AC35 for 35% off.
Sean, I just crunched some numbers on that Connecticut Sun game. Guess who they're playing?
I'm going to guess either the Chicago Sky
No.
or...
It's the most devastating answer it could be.
Oh, no. Is it Caitlin Clark and company?
No.
Oh.
Oh, no, that was wrong.
I thought you were saying that because it was
like
going to be hard to get into, yeah.
Oh, no, whatever. Money's no object. Not for me in my WNBA.
Scrimmage.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Playing the Washington Generals.
No, they would fuck up the Generals. Generals, those guys are bozos.
Famously lose all the time.
Yes, they're terrible. Felger was a Washington General once, I believe. You know, they do that. Like, yeah, they'll take like local celebrities and they'll let them be Washington Generals, and they're just like, go out there and try your hardest. They're like, are these
Good
guys?
luck.
Because I know that like a lot of the Generals are like former like players, like they're real athletes, but they're like, hey, go out there, act a little clumsy or whatever. But they'll get local celebrities and they'll be like, yo, go out there and try your fucking hardest.
So is the opponent depressing because from like the perspective of a Connecticut Sun fan?
From just you'll get it. You'll get why it's depressing. Los Angeles Sparks.
Oh
no, Cameron
no,
Brink.
that
Damn
is
it.
depressing. Damn.
Fuck.
Derek Hamby?
Do you think she like still
could get to see some other Sparks?
Do you think Cameron Brink like still goes to the games and hangs out in a like street clothes?
They should. They should have. I mean, that is a magnet for the cameras and the love and everything. We get Pete there doing uppies. It could be really tasteful.
If she's traveling while hurt, I'm going to that game just for the potential of getting a picture with Cameron Brink.
Making someone that tall travel when they're hurt is horrible behavior. Like making someone that tall
they charter now, so
I know they charter, but like it better be fucking Air Force One.
And also,
if you're making Cameron Brink get on that plane,
I mean, Cameron Brink is tall. At the end of the day, she'd be short for an NBA player. And NBA players do all the time.
How old isn't Cameron Brink like 6'5"?
Yeah. So not short, but she's like a guard in the NBA. She's not tall for an NBA player.
If you saw an NBA player her size, like male, you'd be like, I wonder if that guy's in the NBA.
Yeah.
And if you saw Cameron Brink, Pete would go,
Uppies.
I never knew what that. I learned it recently because of you fucking dorks talking about Cameron Brink, and it really made an impression on me. The Sparks, by the way, suck this year, which they were kind of always going to, but I think they're like 5-17. Anyway, add to the list of that whole thing, Islanders. Yeah. I'm also kind of mad on the Islanders.
Who cares?
The Islanders could have
That's big who cares energy.
Islanders fall into like Penguins almost wild.
I was gonna
category.
say they're wild east. Like they could have prime Wayne Gretzky, and I still wouldn't care about the Islanders.
Yeah,
I mean, I would care if they had prime Wayne Gretzky.
But I'm being.
They do have Anthony Duclair now. They have Anthony Duclair now, which that makes them a little bit interesting. But no, thank you.
I hate that for us. Islanders players are tough to get for podcasts, and Anthony Duclair famously is one of our guys.
Playing for the Islanders kind of dulls Anthony Duclair's shine a little bit, and it's tough to dull Anthony Duclair's shine. That's a tough thing to do when the Islanders are doing it effectively.
He's in the process of playing for every NHL team, so he's going to have to get it done in the process at some point. Last
team I'll throw out there, Buffalo Sabres. Lindy.
We did this last week. We don't got to do this again.
No, we didn't. We teased it for.
Fair
We'll
enough.
talk about them in the group of potential wild card teams. They're going to be in the hunt. I'm not talking about in the hunt watch. Everybody overrated the Sabres last year. This is well documented. And my thing was, if it doesn't happen this year, who fucking cares? It can just happen next year. I did not foresee them buying out Jeff Skinner. I didn't see them making the trade they made at the deadline, swapping out a great young center for a great young defenseman. I think that they could be, they'll be in the hunt this year. I don't know if they're making the playoffs, but they're going to be better than they were last year. I will give you that, and I'll guarantee it.
I'm guaranteeing nothing about the Buffalo Sabres. I think they have a worse roster and maybe a marginally better coach, and those things might just cancel out. We'll see if they have goaltending for an entire season, because if they do, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, watch out. He's coming for the Vezina. But there's just too many question marks.
He's already coming around. Pete, final thought on the Buffalo Sabres.
I don't think they did enough. This was a really important offseason for them to get some adults in the room. They did a little bit with like Jason Zucker, but like they didn't do enough to get better. And they're gonna probably be hanging around the same fucking spot as they were last year. And Lindy doesn't move the needle for me. I'm disappointed by how the lack of excitement I have around the Sabres this year, which is maybe a good thing. Maybe a good thing given how excited I was about the Sabres last year and how things went.
True. I will say, we're talking like the offseason is over.
Right.
Like they were always going to be more into the trade market, I think, than the free agent market. So there's question marks still around like.
But I mean, they let a rip on one of their better trade chips.
Yeah, but they have
Matt Savoy, and all they got back was Ryan McLeod.
They have prospect depth. I mean, they have what's his name, Yuri Kulich, right? Who was the former AHL Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
They got what's my guy's name? Costa Helenius.
Helenius, yeah, that they just drafted. So they have like decent prospect depth. I think they still have room, and plus they have 8 million bottom six players now. So I think they have still a little potential to get better.
We'll see. Don't sleep on the fucking on the Buffalo Sabres penalty kill next season. They're going to cook.
Dogs.
Dogs. They are going to be fucking dogs. You're going to have Ryan McLeod fucking running around.
I also think all their young guys, like you can expect them to get better. Like their defense is all young, can get better. Bo Byram, Owen Power can get better. Zach Benson can get better. Like, so there's still a lot of we'll see with the Buffalo Sabres.
Good things coming, friends. We will be back with you next week. We love you so much. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube because we're posting things on there always. So we will talk to you next week. Love you. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.